So obviously I managed to escape those homeworld ships, even disabled a couple of them before the final one knocked out my engines. Luckily, before my engines actually completely exploded, I had just enough power to get myself back to our galaxy, though now I'm adrift really far from Earth. So far away that with the power I have available, it would take me years to get home, just like that classic science fiction series, the Nickelodeon seminal classic, Space Cases. Of course, what did you think I was gonna say? Anyway, since I've got some time before the engines even cool down enough for me to try to repair them, I figured I'd give you guys a quick theory. Not a super complicated one, but one that's pretty interesting nonetheless. This is one that I've actually been theorizing about for a really long time, but it just got some great evidence that I think boosts it from being just an idea in the back of my head to a full-blown, almost definitely true theory. And that is that Rose, almost definitely at this point, did have other gems in her court when she came to Earth. And no, I'm not talking about Pearl, I'm talking about other gems. Specifically, at the very least, Nephrites. In fact, we now know, without a shadow of a doubt, that Centipedal and her crew were Pink Diamond's Nephrites, which likely means that whatever Hessonite was commanding them was in Pink Diamond's court as well. While that is a bit more of a stretch, it does mean that if she was, Pink Diamond had a type of Garnet in her court, one who was, according to the Save the Light game, physically similar to our Garnet in stature, if not in color, and maybe that's even where Garnet got her fusion name from. Maybe Rose suggested it, because Ruby and Sapphire's fusion reminded her of Hessonite. Keep in mind that I only say almost definitely here, just because there could still be some context that we're missing. I'm 99% sure that this is true, unlike last week's theory, which I was only about 9% convinced of. That said, let's look at the old evidence before we look at the new evidence, and kind of go in chronological order. First of all, we know that Pink Diamond came with a fleet of ships. Pearl herself told us that the first gems came to Earth on those saucer-shaped ships with legs, one of which was the ship that Centipedal and her crew flew. As when Centipedal goes off to find her crew again, she finds them on one of those ships, one which is implied to be the one that she and her crew used to man. Just the fact that this fleet was made up of more than one ship tells us that there must have been other gems with Rose. And this fits with what we saw in Jungle Moon, those same types of ships heading down to the planet below the Jungle Moon to launch the initial invasion once the Jungle Moon itself had been captured and put under homeworld control. Which makes me question what they would do if they found a planet they wanted to colonize that didn't have a moon, since the moon base seems to be step one in the process, but I'm not going to dwell on that. All of this tells us that the initial conquest of a planet is launched from those ships as a platform. Those ships could not have shown up later in the timeline. They had to have come when Rose first arrived at Earth. All of this is why I have assumed for a long time that Centi and her crew were actually part of Pink Diamond's court. A court which existed before Pink Diamond had Earth. Because if you recall, back when she was asking for a colony, I say asking knowing full well that whining would be a more apt description, when she was insisting to Yellow that she's just as important as the other diamonds and should have everything that they have, she never once suggested that she didn't have gems to rule, just that she didn't have colonies. Or an army, I guess, too, technically, but look what kind of gems she made on Earth. She made quartz, gems which would be used in an army as they are soldiers. Maybe a diamond has no need for an actual army before they have colonies, so it's common practice to build your army on your first colony. Couple that with the fact that we know now for sure that Rose and Pearl came to Earth on Pink Diamond's legs, rather than on one of those saucer-shaped ships, as well as the reveal that the injectors were active from the very moment that the first kindergarten was being built, as well as the fact that we see Centipedal's complete form and she has a Pink Diamond insignia on her uniform, telling us definitively that she was part of Pink Diamond's court somehow, despite the fact that there are no Nephrite kindergartens on Earth. And there is other evidence besides this, like a mention of Pink's sapphires at the trial, gems which could not have been made on Earth since Earth only had quartz kindergartens and sapphires aren't quartz. But just limiting this to details that we have either seen ourselves or heard from more reliable characters than a one-off lawyer character, we can say pretty definitively, I think, thanks in no small part to recent episodes, that Pink Diamond did have other gems in her court when she first came to Earth. And the fact that she did explains a lot. It explains how those injectors got set up at the kindergarten site. It explains who was flying those other ships. It fits too well not to be true. And it's not as if this is entirely impossible. Even if Pink Diamond didn't have any colonies of her own to grow gems on, that doesn't mean she couldn't have used a kindergarten site somewhere else to produce some starter gems for her court, whether it be on someone else's colony or on Homeworld itself. itself, which would explain this screen grab here where we see a symbol inscribed on the wall of a homeworld kindergarten, which seems to suggest that this kindergarten belonged to Pink Diamond. But even if she didn't make these gems somewhere else, even if the other prevailing theory is true, that one of the other diamonds gave her gems from their court to be her court, then they would still be her court. She just might have to share some of their loyalty with whichever diamond was their diamond originally. Like I said though, earlier in this video, I am like 99% sure that this is true, that Pink did have other gems with her when she first arrived. That of course does beg a few questions. Why haven't we seen them, for example, in any of the flashbacks that we have seen up to this point? But considering seeing them would have spoiled the appearance of Centipedal in her uncorrupted form, I can understand why we haven't, and I don't fault the show for deceiving us in that specific way. All that said though, guys, what do you think of this theory and the ideas presented within it? Let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below or over on my Discord. Link in the description. Oh, hey look, it's the iconic starship from the Seminole Classic space cases. Maybe they will help me to get home. There's a whole story happening here, huh? Anyway, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.